Can you now buy a decent 2-bedroom condo in the city of Mississauga under $550,000 with a parking spot? Well, in today's video, I'm going to answer that question for you. And we're going to look at 5 recent transactions that have happened. These are real transactions that have happened since June 1st of 2025. So we're focusing on the second half of the year, and we're going to focus on 3 areas in the city. First, around the Square One City Center area, around the Erin Mills Town Center, and around the Port Credit area as well. And again, these are real transactions. These have actually sold. I'm going to show you the deal sheet or the sold sheet. We're going to run through the value that they provide, maintenance fees, property taxes, square footage. We'll go through the pictures. You'll see everything about these condos and why I think they might be the best value in Mississauga right now. My name is Mike Santos, and thank you so much for being back here on the channel. This is the first video I'm doing in a new series where I basically pick my favorite recently sold properties and walk you guys through why I actually like them. So make sure you get subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on any of those. Give it a like as well. And if you want to book a one-on-one call with me, you can do so below if you want to buy or sell a condo in the city of Mississauga. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what I've done is pick 5 properties that recently sold that fell into the criteria that we've already talked about in this video. So we're going to go through it and we're going to go from the lowest to the highest price, but they're still going to have to be under $550,000. And why I chose to do this video first is because there's kind of been an interesting trend over the last few years. To break it down simply, once interest rates went back up, the investor or smaller 1-bed condos became a lot harder to sell, and larger sort of end user 2-bedroom units became more in demand. And I'll back that up with some stats here in just a second. So in 2021, for example, there were 855 1-beds that sold and 955 2-beds. So when you look at the ratio of the number of 2-beds that were sold in Mississauga in 2021, that made up 53% of the market. In 2022, very similar, 52%. But here's the interesting part. In 2023, that ratio climbed to 55%. Then it became 58% in 2024, and in 2025 to date, it's actually 58% again. Obviously, the number of condos that have sold is a lot less, but the percentage is going up for 2-beds, showing that they're more in demand overall. And when you take a look at the number of sales of 2-bedrooms since September 1st of this year, it's actually now making up 63% of all sales. And that's total sales, no price limit. So don't get me wrong, 2-bedrooms are not exactly moving quickly. We still have a ton of inventory on the market. Things are taking a long time to sell, but there is still much more demand currently for 2-bedrooms than 1-bedrooms. And when you look at the overall condo market and the sentiment of buyers, the 2-bedroom is now again becoming more of a mid to long-term option for people as prices have come down and become more affordable again. With that in mind, let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at our first sale. So starting off with our first sale, we're going to zoom in here to the city center, 510K. This is the Daniels building. Chicago is the name of it, completed in 2010. And this is an amazing building that I've always heard has had a great reputation from living nearby, friends, clients. They tell me it's extremely friendly and there's a good mix of ages and backgrounds in this building. The management is very strict, which means that it's going to be well run. You know, with a strict management comes attentiveness. So if things are, broken, they're going to be fixed quickly, and keeping sort of the community in line as well is really important. And that's a good thing to have. Trust me, you're going to want that. So let's take a look at the actual pictures now of the building and some of the details about it. One thing I want to point out right away is this was listed for $399,000, but sold for $510,000. And so that's a pricing strategy that a lot of agents will try to use for buildings around this value or units around this value. They did get multiple offers. It did sell for $510,000, but I don't really think that it would have sold for any more if they had listed it for $550,000, for example. It just sold the unit quicker. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get a higher price for it. Anyways, that's a discussion for another video. To go over some of the basics, we have a 2-bedroom, 1 washroom. So this is not 2 washrooms, it's 2 bed, 1 bath. our square footage is 729 square feet with an 82 square foot balcony. Now, the listing agent is going to put in 800 to 899 square feet because they're including the balcony. Technically not correct. You're not supposed to do that, and that's why you always check to see the actual square footage. The square footage listed should be just the interior square footage, does not include exterior square footage like a balcony. Parking spots. You've got one underground parking spot and you have an owned locker. The locker information is up here, all that kind of good stuff. And the maintenance fees are $650 per month. I believe that the maintenance fees here include everything. So water, heat, hydro, essential air conditioning. So that should include everything. There shouldn't be any other utilities to pay on top of that. Let's take a look through the pictures here now. We'll go through it one by one. So they've decided to go with the living room layout because it's sort of the nicest spot in the area. As we go through, here's our Chicago building. This is a single building on its own, by the way. This doesn't have any other buildings attached to it. So in terms of sort of its busyness, it's not quite as busy as some other buildings that are going to be sharing elevators, for example. So overall, it's pretty good. And then, while we're here taking a look at these pictures, it's important to note where this is. This is Confederation Parkway that you see here. And before there wasn't anything on Confederation, this was kind of the last building within this area. And everything has been built up since then. It kind of was a little bit of a far walk from everything, but now you have everything there. You've got a new stack 36 condos by Daniels that are going to be coming, that are right here. And you're going to have a bunch of new retail here. I think there's like a gelato store that's here right now. And then across from this building, across the street, don't think we'll be able to see it exactly. Actually, we can. There is, if you kind of can see it here, there's a Food Basics that's right here. So you have a grocery store right across the street. You can go to the Walmart and the Whole Foods, which are about a 10-minute walk away within Square One itself. But now you can literally go across the street and have a full service grocery store there as well. And you have the Raba here for, sort of quick stuff. But I think the Food Basics here is going to put a dent in Raba's sales there. So that is a really nice thing to have. And of course you have banks and other restaurants and Starbucks, and we can argue about the ground floor retail in Square One not being the best, not being the most walkable, but I think of all the places to live, Confederation is probably the best overall in this spot. And again, with a full service grocery store there, that's really, really nice. Here's the entrance to the building. Really nice amenities and lobby, very friendly as well. Here's your front door. It's really classic, like built in 2010. You would see buildings start to age around this time, but I think the kind of decor they went with really sort of made the building age really well. The Chicago name is a really good moniker for this one. Here's the entrance to the unit. So you've got a closet over on the right side when you enter. And as you come in, you've got a longer hallway. Not the best in terms of layout in terms of space, but you can have sort of an office here in this area in the front. So there is space for that. Not necessarily a traditional den, but still a good wall to be able to have an office and plenty of space. So it does work out. Kitchen. So you've got the island kitchen here with storage, which is really important because not all islands have storage. So that's nice to see. Everything looks in good condition. Like the flooring looks really good. Looks in pretty good shape. If you haven't seen it in person, you might find some imperfections, but at least from the pictures, it looks quite nice. Now let's see here. Appliances look, fairly new as well. Looking good. And then in terms of our living room, okay, so some people are going to be, I gotta have a TV wall. This may not be the best TV wall of all time because you have the balcony here and then you only have one wall and you don't want to put a couch here to not be able to walk out to your balcony. So you might have to do a little bit of sort of maneuvering of furniture to make sure that you can get it the way that you want. But overall, it is a pretty good space. Now, it's going to be a little bit smaller. It's only 729 square feet. This is not the biggest unit that we're going to see today, but it's also not the smallest as well. But this is kind of the size in Square One for this age of building that you can expect at this price point. So if you want a 1,200 square foot one, I'm going to show you one later. Going to be a little bit older though overall, and your maintenance fees are going to be a touch higher as well. Really nice balcony here. That's a great space, great spot. You got the view between the buildings. Let's see which way this goes, because I believe that is Rathburn there. Bedroom sizes are pretty good. I'm liking this one. Really well done. And this is turnkey. You don't have to touch anything in here for this. They've done some improvements as well. And you got your full size washer and dryer. Amenities, I'll just rip through these as well. Great pool. Like, these look great for 2020, for 2010. It's still looking really pristine shape. And these are your barbecues, been up there for parties, really nice. So in terms of our size overall, 729 square feet, pretty good value, 510,000, 2-bed, 1-bath. Our property taxes are just under 3,200 per month. I really like this location. I really like this building. I think that this is a great starter spot. Like, yeah, there's going to be some construction because you have new buildings coming up across the street, the Amicon buildings, and there's a big master plan, and there's still a few more buildings to go. But the noise, once your windows are closed, you're not going to really hear it. You're not going to really notice it very much. This is a great spot overall to be at. Highly recommend this building within Square One, and at this price point, I think is pretty good. With a maintenance fee of $650, I think this is really an affordable starter option. You may not be the most long-term because you want that second bath, but a great spot for a young couple, even a single person who wants to have a roommate, and then you can charge, a roommate like a rental to help take care of the mortgage, or a young family who only needs that 1 bathroom and then can grow from there. So that's our first one, 510K, 385 Prince of Wales. Let's take a look at our second one next. Just a really quick break here. If you're finding value in this video, please go ahead and hit the like button for me below. It will help other people find content just like this. Okay? Let's get right back to it. Sale number 2 is just down the road here in the Square One City Center area. We have 4080/90 Living Arts Drive. This is called the Capitol or Capitol Towers, set of 2 buildings here. I've personally lived here in the past. Nice, quiet building. I had no issues with it myself. Very central location. Again, another mix of sort of ages in the building, and a good community. Like, there were 0 issues here whatsoever in terms of the people. You have some building issues here and there that they've had in the past, and I'll kind of get into that in just a little bit, but most of those have been rectified now, and you're going to find that in every building. So this is not the only one that's had problems. That's kind of just the nature of condos and homes in general. So I'm going to pop into the pictures here and the sheet overall. Let's bring it up. All right, perfect. So this one was listed for $529,000 and sold for $530,000 after 8 days on the market. 2-bedroom, 2-bath. We have a locker as well that's owned, and a parking spot as well. Our maintenance fees are $733.94, and the reason for that is our unit is slightly larger. I believe this one is actually above 800 square feet, and it includes all utilities as well. Actually, I think hydro was not included here. If I remember correctly, it's been a while, but I don't think hydro was included. So I think you have to pay for that one. Maintenance fees are going to be higher because it's a slightly older building, 2006 versus 2010, and you've got some different amenities as well. And again, different types of management and different kind of things happen where the maintenance fee is not going to be exactly the same everywhere in every building per square foot. Now, let's go through the pictures here. I'm going to take you through a couple things that, I liked and did not necessarily like about the layouts here. So the lobby itself, very nice. Doesn't necessarily show the best on this picture, but a really nice lobby. And as you come in, you've got a really big closet in the front. Your powder room is there. And then as bathroom. Finishes here are going to be typically a little bit older than the Daniels building that we saw at the Chicago building. I found that overall, not as many units have been sort of renovated here compared to that building. So some older finishes here, you may have to sort of do those here in this building. And one thing I didn't love was this part of the kitchen. I don't know, they did this. This is just the way it was built. Never liked it. Kind of a style from, a little while ago, but you can remove these. So if you don't like it, you can get rid of it. I always kind of found I would, kind of bonk my head or have to look underneath to see someone. So not always my favorite, but then it looks out onto the living room like this, and you get a nice long layout. You can essentially have your TV wall and your couch here. Got some popcorn ceilings here, and looks like it's been freshly painted. So overall, it's a pretty decent layout. You've got some virtual staging to show. You do actually have space for a full dining table here and a proper seating area. I know because I lived here and I had both. So in the last one we saw, you didn't have space for an actual dining set, right? There was nowhere to eat but that kitchen island. Here, you're actually going to get the dining table that you can sit at, work at, have people over. It's a little bit more comfortable of a space and a layout. That's what I like about it. In terms of its location, and you got some bedrooms and stuff, it's nothing to write home about. Also in terms of amenities, I'm going to pop through here quickly. I think we've seen enough in there. bedroom spaces are typical bedroom size. They're not huge in this building, even though it's 2006. They're actually can be quite tight, like a newer building. So that's one thing that you'll notice in this building. A lot of times, when you're looking for older buildings, you'll find bigger bedrooms, but not quite here. And then our amenities, pretty good overall. Like, had no issues, good pool, good gym, and not overly busy for any of them. Now back to our sheet here. Our property taxes are $3,370, so a little bit higher than the Chicago building there, which again shows that it's probably a slightly larger unit overall. And just to talk about sort of where it is exactly, it's a good fit if you want to take advantage of sort of the access to Celebration Square, because it's right across the street. We used to be able to see sort of the fireworks during Canada Day right from my window. You get for on New Year's Eve and Canada Day. And then one note, there's a YMCA that's just off the corner that's now moving to where the old Cineplex was in Square One. So not sure what's happening with the land. I assume it'll be developed at some point. It's not a huge deal. And to get a, properly renovated YMCA in the area, I think is a big deal. But some of you might want to keep in mind for future views or thinking about construction in the area. That's one thing to keep in mind. But overall, I think it's a good value, $530K, 2-bed, 2-bath. One thing I will point out, we talked about, there were some problems in the past in this building. They had sort of an HVAC issue where a bunch of units flooded, like 7 floors of flooding that happened because of a failure with the cooling coil, the heating coil, cooling coil. This was many, many years ago. We're talking, like maybe over 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 13 years ago now. So, I mean, that problem's been fixed. However, in this building in 2006, you also had some high-tech plumbing. This was a plumbing that was prone to failure. Most of the units have been repaired here. They've been replaced, but it's important to check. So these are the kind of things that you need to know about when you're looking for homes, condos within this time frame, because they were built mostly around 1998 to around 2006, 2007. And there's a big class action lawsuit, and there's issues with insurance and all this stuff. So we want to make sure that that's been actually removed. Again, it's been removed for the most part in most units, but you always want to double check. That's why even a home inspection on a condo is really important, because you may not even be aware of that if you do not know the history of the unit. So that's it for our second sale. Let's move into our third one now. For sale number 3, we're going to be going west towards Erin Mills, around the Erin Mills Town Center. So we're going to leave the Square One area for a minute. And if we zoom in here, we take the 403 down, you're going to see the Credit Valley Hospital right here. This block here is going to be the Erin Mills Town Center. So you're right across the street from a major mall and a major hospital with good access to a couple of different GO train stations here in Streetsville. And there's the Arendale station here as well. So it's a good commuter area. It's not going to be as walkable or as dense as the Square One area, but this has good values and a good school zone as well. So if you're thinking about kids in the future, or you have kids now, and this is your price point and you want to get a 2-bedroom, this is a really good area to think about compared to the Square One area. So this one here specifically is another Daniels building. And I'm not just picking out Daniels building because I love Daniels. I think they're a great builder, but they've just built a lot in Mississauga. They built a lot of buildings in the city. So it just so happens to be another one. This one is called Daniels Downtown Erin Mills, and it was built in 2018, so it's a newer building. This one is a 2-bed, 1-bath. So granted, again, we're going to be looking at only 1 bathroom. Most places with 2 bathrooms are selling above 550. Like for instance, I just saw an 800 square foot 2-bed, 2-bath next door sell for $565K. Those kind of units were selling for, easily way more than that, like mid 700s. Okay. And now they're looking at the mid 500s. So that's a 20 to 25% drop from a few years ago. So to get into a pretty large unit overall, you can get in at 20, 25, almost 30% cheaper than you could a few years ago. So let's pop into this one now. We'll take a look at it more closely. This was listed at $589,000 and sold for $535,000. Like a major drop. We're talking about 91% of sale price, 2-bed, 1-bath. This one is 700 to 799 square feet. So again, not a big one because we're looking at 2-bed, 1-bath, but our price point here is just getting really hard to ignore. $683,000. Our utilities are included, I believe, except for hydro in this one here. So that's just to pay for. You do get a locker and you do have a parking spot as well. So the 1 bathroom here, we'll take a look at the pictures. There's not a ton of them in this one, only 14 to look at, but let's pop through it. We've got 2 buildings here. This is 4633 and 4655, Glen Erin. Just basic in terms of our amenities here. Nothing like to write home about compared to some of the square one ones. And but a really nice layout. So you got a den that's going to be over here on this side. That's your washer and dryer. Probably want to upgrade that a little bit, in my opinion. That's your full bathroom there. And then you're going to go in and you're going to have, I wish it would show the kitchen and go back a bit so it's easier to see. So on this left side here, you've got the kitchen just off to the left. So a little different than you usually see. You see sort of more open concept kitchens, but this one actually gives you more space and a smaller space overall because the kitchen is off to the left. I really like this. So it gives you enough for a living and sort of dining area as well, to have that couch wall, or sorry, have that TV wall, to have that space. If you don't want a proper dining table, you've got a kid, for example, there's a great play space here as well. So compared to like the first one in Chicago, which didn't have a place for a dining area, this does, just because of the layout, and even though it's the same size. Good finishes here on the kitchen. Nothing needs to be done because this is 2018, right? Yeah, it's completely turnkey. And pretty good bedroom sizes overall. This one is maybe a little bit tighter, but I mean, that's just typical for condos. But you're able to fit, you know, full-size beds in there, double queens as well, and a nice balcony overlooking the Erin Mills town center area. All right. So that's it for our pictures. Not a ton in that one, but property taxes, $2,800, and so much cheaper, looking at $400 per month cheaper overall. And yeah, just in terms of one bed, like if you're looking at a starter condo, like my wife and I, we only have the one kid, and a lot of times we just don't want to clean a second bathroom, so we just share the one bathroom, and honestly, it's perfectly fine. If you want to do that, you can live for quite a long time in these types of buildings. You're in a good area, good access for commuters. You got the hospital right there. You got the mall there. You got all the major amenities you need, and a really good school zone. This is going into the top school zone in the city. Highly recommend this one, another Daniel's special. All right, let's go to number 4 now. For number 4, we're heading back to the Square One area. So let's zoom in here, and we've got 156 Enfield Place. This is called Tiara Condos, built in 2003. And while Tiara doesn't have the sleekest or most modern amenities in Square One, you make up for in unit size here. So let's pop in here and let's take a look. This was listed at $649,000 and sold for $542,000. I believe this was an estate sale, so there might be something a little bit wonky with this, but there was another unit that was around 850 square feet that sold for a similar amount, and this one is over 1,000 square feet. You know, TBD on this one in terms of what exactly happened, but it doesn't matter either way. This unit was sold for under $550,000. 2-bed plus a den, 2 baths. And look at the maintenance fees, $734 per square. $734, and includes all utilities. There are buildings that are much smaller where you're paying a similar maintenance fee. So this is really good value in terms of maintenance fees, and you have a locker and a parking spot as well. So let's pop in. We're going to take a look at our pictures here now. And this is our Tiara building. We've got a really nice lobby here, quite like the lobby, nice, big, wide, and spacious. It's really sort of inviting when you come in, and it's good to have a nice lobby. Like when you bring people over, visitors over, guests over, you really want to have a lobby that sort of stands out, and Tiara definitely does. It's much more impressive. We have the old parquet flooring, which honestly, I'm starting to like again. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but it's coming back in fashion, maybe just for me. I kind of like the way it looks. But we're gonna have a big space here, and the biggest difference is gonna be the layout. So nice, big, wide open layout here in front, right? You got a perfect TV wall. You got an area for dining table as well. The big difference is going to be bedroom that pops in behind there is a kitchen. Kitchen is separate. And this is the way a lot of buildings were pre sort of 2005, where you have the kitchen off behind the living room. Some people don't like this, especially if they have kids, because they want to be able to keep an eye on them, but you get so much more space, so much more. Now, the kitchen gonna need a little bit of work, right? You got older backsplash, older cabinets, older appliances here, but what you're saving in terms of money here, you can put into the unit. Like, this is not a building from like 1960. Like, this is gonna be a building here that you can live in for a long time. 2-bed, 2-bath, plus that den. You can live here definitely more than medium term. This could be a long-term purchase for a lot of people. And we've got our breakfast nook in there. So you've got 2 places that you can eat. If you don't want to, have this, if we go back here really quickly, one thing I want to point out, like you could turn this, excuse me, into an office here too as well, right? If you're working from home, this can be an office here as well. So you've got a lot of options with this kind of layout. Bedroom sizes, big. Like these ones are wide. I know the camera's kind of wide here, but these are big bedrooms within these buildings as well. So you get a proper bedroom and, you know, bathrooms. Probably a little bit of updating will need to happen, but again, it's all very turnkey, not something you need right away. Big walk-in closet, and here is the second. I got another bedroom here and behind, and also there's this den here. That can be an office as well. So there's multiple uses for the space here. This is off the living room. And there we go. Look at that sort of like solarium kind of feel. You've got the walkout to the balcony right there. That's a great spot. That's a great shot to show you. So that's the living room there with a door entrance to the second bedroom and then off here to the balcony. So great shot. There's your second bathroom. Beautiful shot. Nice private back balcony there. Really like that spot. That's great. And then older amenities, like I said, but they're very useful. Like you can use all of these things, no issues whatsoever. You know, some people may not like the style, may seem a little bit older, but it's got a little bit of a classic look. I kind of like it myself. A library is very classic, very classy. Cool. All right, so that's it for that one. This is in Square One. And in terms of the area that it's in, like we're in a very similar area. Okay, we're gonna be across Burnhamthorpe, so you're a little bit further back in terms of your location from Square One, but this is gonna be a future LRT spot here Ontario LRT right here. So you're a 2-minute walk from the LRT. That's gonna take you all the way down to Port Credit to the Lakeshore GO line. So this is a great spot for a commuter in the Square One area because you have a much closer walk to the LRT. Now, future LRT should have the loop here in this building, in this area, so it should benefit everybody. But, you know, if you don't want to go through that whole loop, then you've got this spot right here. So really good overall. Highly recommend this building, really good value. Let's take a look at our fifth and final sale. Our fifth and final sale, we're going to be heading down to Port Credit. So we're going to zoom in here. This is near the lake. This was the only one I could find right at 550,000. This is something that is finally hitting the 550K and below mark. This is one of my favorite. It might be my favorite in the entire list. So we're glad to get it last. This building here is right by the Port Credit GO station. Right on top of it, it is the Westport Condos, just completed in 2024 by Edenshaw. This originally would have sold for about 700,000. It was around 640K at first launch for this floor plan, and the parking cost was 55K. So this is a 20% drop in price, which is pretty in line with what's happened in the pre-construction market over the last few years. The difference is those units typically didn't have parking. Most of those didn't. So this is a real steal to get it with parking. Now pop in here and we can see more about it. It was listed for 617,000 and sold for 550,000 after 44 days on the market. Now, this is under 700 square feet. It's in the 600s in terms of square footage. So yes, it's a smaller floor plan compared to what you can get at other places, but it's practically brand new. You have great amenities. You're next to the GO station on the Port Credit line, on the Lakeshore line. So the LRT is there as well if you want to get back up north. You're in Port Credit itself, which is a lot more lively than the Square One area, especially during the summer, and you get a parking spot. So you have the freedom to still own a car if you want to go other places. If you want to go west, you know, for work and you don't want to take the GO train, which you should, but you know, when you want to visit friends or you want to visit family, or you just want to do anything that involves a car, you have the ability to have one here, which is not always the case for other units within this area. So let's pop in here. Actually, no, before we do that, $600 per square foot. This is pretty high for maintenance fees. Now, this is a much newer building with very nice upgraded amenities. So you are paying for that, but as a price per square foot, it's going to be a little bit higher. And it's only going to include, actually no utilities are going to be included here. So you're paying utilities on top of that. So from an affordability aspect, you're paying a bit more here. But again, newer building, 2-bed, 2-bath, and you do have a parking spot. And in terms of our locker, there's none for this one. So something to keep in mind, this one didn't come with a locker. Gonna pop into the pictures here so we can take a look. Really great. Like Edenshaw does a really nice job with their finishes. So smaller overall in terms of our appliances. Okay, we're not gonna get those full 30-inch appliances like we can in other places. They're gonna be sort of 24-inch, and a lot of them are built in, or like For instance, like the fridge is built into the cabinetry, which some people like that look. So here is our kitchen, and you can see like you're going to have space for a living area in terms of a TV wall, but you're not going to really have a dining area. This is a small 2-bedroom, but super nice finishes. I really like what Eden Shaw has done with this entire building. Really, really nice. Bedroom sizes, standard, so you can fit what you need in there. Really, really nice washrooms. This is a steal at $550, and it's, you know, if you can get it for even less in the coming months, this is a really great area to be. Like I can't explain, you're right across the street from the station. Like you don't have to drive there or take a shuttle there like some other condos in Port Credit, like Brightwater, for example, which is, you know, 5 or 10 minutes down the road and you get a shuttle in. You walk right by the GO station. Right, you walk right to the GO station. So really, really nice. Great gym. Like there's a lot of good stuff in there. You've got a kids room as well. So again, okay, it's smaller and it may, you know, but if you've got a young kid, toddler age, like there is stuff to do within this building. So this is a great spot. Really good amenities overall, places for them to play, really nice lobby and party room area. You can host people here for sure. Got the rooftop terrace. I like everything about this building. It's right here. This is like right across here is the GO station. I'm sure they'll show it. Well, they haven't in this one, but that's okay. So this is just a really good option personally. And if you don't need the parking spot, for instance, then you can always lease it out, right? And get some extra cash flow that way. But you get to be in Port Credit, which is very lively, especially in the summer. So if you're a younger person, a younger couple, you're trying to stick more to a Toronto type lifestyle, maybe that you're coming from, and you're trying to get in under 550, come to Port Credit. Westport seems to have some options now. So that's our 5 sales, what I think are the best value right now, under 550 in the Mississauga area. So that's it for the video. This is the first segment I'll be doing of many, including 1-bed condos, condo townhomes, detached. We're going to look at pretty much every price point around the city, but I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you want to see next or have included, what you'd be interested to see. In the meantime, if you don't want to miss out on any of those, make sure to get subscribed to the channel. Hit the like button below for me if you found value in this, and I'll see you on the next one.